Should I get a hat boner sticking out to the side like that, or should I put it back down?
I mean, hat boners are hilarious. You keep the hat boner, Rumi.
That'll be on YouTube, right?
Off to a good start. Here we go. Hey guys, happy holidays. Merry Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. I mean, I'm super excited for the holidays. I have a little bit of time off. That's in air quotes for those who can't see, because I've been working my ass off regardless. Still plenty to do, but technically I'm not on set. I'm not in Savannah. I'm home with the family, watching holiday movies. Rumi, happy holidays.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. A lot of people like Christmas and the holidays in general because it's a time of giving and reflection and celebration and family. I like it because it's my absolute favorite genre of movies.
Fuck yes,
the
dude.
Christmas horror movie.
The Christmas horror movie. And there's a fuck ton. And we have been gifted, not only this year in general. But hear me out.
We've gotten a lot of gifts.
Yeah. Some of them are socks and some of them are NECA figures. But yes, we have gotten a lot of gifts. But this year, just for horror in general, we've gotten a whole bunch of pretty decent entries, or at least a lot of entries. I'll take quantity over quality in certain cases.
Sure.
It's it's been a drought, especially theatrical releases, tons of stuff. There's been so many horror movies that I still haven't seen a bunch of them. I didn't get a chance to see the David Harbour one, but we're going to get into all of that. Guys, wish us a Merry Christmas on our social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at LaunchpadPod, on our website, launchpadpod.com. And all I want for Christmas is for you to get your friends to like and subscribe, for you to like and subscribe, for you to follow us on social media, for you to reach out to us and tell us how much you love our show. We love hearing from you guys. Thank you to everybody who stays in contact with us. YouTube, thanks to the people who have been watching our YouTube channel. It's few, but they're strong. I appreciate you guys. You're all a handsome bunch.
And our friend Rachel Nelson has been not only watching, but commenting on a lot of our YouTube stuff too, which is fun. Because then it's someone's there. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you. Yeah, we appreciate everybody who listens and everybody who watches. I actually have some numbers, dude. But I know I'm dragging out the intro, but you want to hear some fun numbers about our podcast?
Yeah.
We are the top 10 podcasts for 15 fans. We are the top 5 podcasts for 9 fans. And we are the number 1 podcast for 5 listeners. So on their Spotify Wrapped, Launchpad Pod was their number 1 podcast. That's pretty.
I'm proud of that.
I'm very proud of that. Look, we know we're small, but I know that we're fucking funny. And it's never been about the numbers, but I like it when we're doing good job. When we're doing.
Are we still big in the Netherlands and Japan?
I'll tell you what. I got some info on that. We are heard in over 50 countries, but in 11 countries like the United States, United Kingdom, Turkey, the Philippines, Canada, Japan, not in any order. These are just these. I'm just listing these off. We have listeners in the hundreds, which is freaking cool.
That is pretty. And to think we would just say this shit at Hooters while eating wings with pregnant waitresses rolling their eyes at us because we weren't ogling them. We were trying to make them laugh with our stupid jokes.
Stupid fucking jokes.
And we're like, if you don't appreciate us, the Netherlands, Japan, and Turkey will.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, we actually have a pretty international crowd, which I'm always impressed with. Yeah, big shout out to all our international listeners. Big shout out to our hometown listeners. You guys keep us going, and we love hearing from everybody. A few more numbers just because it's fun. We are up 20% this year from last year. We're up 18 hours of listens from last year, which is always cool. And that's special. We love it when we grow with you guys because we did reduce the number of times we release, but I feel like we still have quite a few followers and quite a few listens. So I feel good about it, man. I feel good about our show.
I do too. I'm still having fun. I hope you guys are having as much fun as we are.
And it's only going to get funner. We say that. I don't know if that's true. I have no clue what the new year brings, but
we have a great list. Well, so we could tease, we have a big list of episodes of topics and stuff that we haven't even touched yet that we can't wait to do. We have before, I won't say it yet, but before we started this episode, Rumi and I were just talking about scheduling a pretty big guest that I think you guys will like for a really fun episode. I'm not going to tease it any more than that. Should we?
Well, the teaser just dropped for what we're teasing. The teaser dropped for the teaser that we're teasing. Yeah.
Teaser squared.
Teaser squared. So I'm excited about that. It has something to do with a teaser that just dropped that people saw. Well, stop teasing. Let's get on with the pleasing. On the final episode of 2022. This is the Launchpad Podcast.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Can we just add Christmas trees in? That actually sounds like when you're a trader for the holidays. Christmas treason. I'd watch that movie.
I got a couple of political jokes for that. All right. Welcome to the Launchpad Podcast. I'm Aaron.
I'm Matt.
Matt, this is the last episode of 2022. Fucking wild nuts, man.
It's crazy. It's, this year is going by fast, yeah? Well, yeah. I mean, it went by fast. It's fucking December. It's late December already. It
went by really fucking fast. Having a kid makes it go faster. I was like I was reading our Spotify Wrapped and like some of our metrics and stuff, and it's like, you did 25 episodes. I was like, bullshit, I did like hundreds. And it's like, oh no, I only did 25 episodes. That doesn't seem like a lot to me, but it's fucking years worth.
It's a lot of work. And yeah. I've said this before. You guys know Rumi does most of the work. I do most of the handsomeness. And I'm the funnier of the two, but he does most of the work.
Wow.
I like that you didn't take any offense that I was handsomer, but you're like, wait a minute now, I tell better jokes than you, ugly.
Hey, well, because true handsomeness doesn't need to flaunt it. I'll let you think whatever you want, Rumi. Does the guy wearing a ninja snowman sweater? You fly your own flag, and I this is why I love you, Rumi. This is why we podcast.
But for real, dude, thank you for all your hard work this year. Rumi knocks it out of the park. He does all of our fucking technical, all of our mechanical magic. He makes I have a sexy ass voice, but he makes all of the like organically my voice is sexy, but Rumi makes it sound good on the radio for you and computers and stuff.
Oh, yeah. And then like the nights when I'm like, didn't do an episode, so let's stay up all night and like edit this thing and put it together and put it on YouTube and get it all.
And I just sit here handsomely that whole time.
And I call you up, Rumi, the computer's breaking, everyth's on fire. And you're just like, it's all good, Rumi. Just that silky voice gets me through.
You got it, bro. Hey, you're doing a good job. Don't you worry about it.
And I just go, ooh, and it gets me through. You know what, Rumi? Like you said, favorite time of year, especially for holiday horror films. I do love me some holiday horror films. We have a bunch of them came out this year. There's quite a few that came out. I didn't watch all of them, as I mentioned. I didn't get to see the David Harbour one because it's in theaters, and I don't have time to do that shit.
Same.
I barely have time to do podcasting, dadding, and other things, jobs. So this is as good as it's going to get. But I did watch some of the new ones, or at least some of the ones that are out there. Here, I watched the demonic Christmas tree, aka the Killing Tree, Christmas Bloody Christmas, which I'm excited to talk about, and to wash my palate of all these ones that are fine. They're fun. I watched the original Black Christmas, which is a fucking goddamn classic. I love that shit. What'd you watch, Matt? Give me.
I have a killer palate cleanser, so I'm gonna pull a Kelly Jones and keep it under wraps to the last second. Remember we talked to Kelly Jones about werewolf movies once, and he was like, "I have the best werewolf movie," and he had us guessing for like a month before he finally told us what it was. I watched all of the same ones you did, I think, except that there was one that doesn't have Christmassy title. I watched Christmas Bloody Christmas, The Nutcracker Massacre, He Knows, There's Snow Escape, 13 Sleighs Till Christmas, blah. And no joke, like 3 or 4 more that I turned off or like don't even remember.
Did you watch the Were-Deer?
Oh yeah, Were-Deer. I watched. Oh, got to put that on the list.
Did that suck?
Well,
It
you want to just start diving in?
Yeah.
Some of these will be quick. Were-Deer is quick. Were-Deer is one of those movies that they wrote a script, more or less. There was a lot of ad-libbing. It was not terrible. The ad-libbing was not terrible, which a lot of these you could tell they're like, talk to him about his penis size and then say this joke, but then you could just say whatever. So it like starts with two guys in the woods and they're hunting and it's clearly ad-libbed and it's terrible. And then they get killed by something, you don't see what. Then it cuts to a family and there's like a man and a woman are traveling to his redneckish family. And there's this big, giant, fat guy who believes in werewolves and Santa Claus and all this other stuff. And they try so hard to make you think he's funny, and he's not.
Ugh.
And the movie just drags. It's just like they introduce these characters, and they're setting up the dynamic of this family for like an hour, and it's just so fucking boring. When the Were-Deer finally happens, the makeup is almost worth the thing. Now, it might be a pullover mask because it was made by a company that specifically makes beautiful pullover masks, but it looks really good. The actress playing the Were-Deer is terrible. She just keeps mauling people with her hooves, but she just keeps going like this. And it doesn't look like there's any force behind it. And she very rarely contacts whatever she's supposed to be hitting. So it's the same gag every time, but it looks real. The face looks really cool. It's really stupid overall. That's one that if you watch it with a group, you probably would have fun with it because there's a lot to make fun of, but you won't be making fun of the Were-Deer or the Were-Deer action for a while. It's going to be a lot of other stupid nonsense.
That's rough, man. Those movies are all, and those are on a lot of these are on Tubi.
Tubi has an amazing selection of shit. Last night I watched
amazing in number, not
an amazing
quality.
selection. Last night I watched Killer Christmas Elves on that as well. That was like an hour and 12 minutes. That felt like 12 hours and 10 minutes.
Oh my God.
It wasn't bad. It was trying to be silly without being goofy silly. It's about killer Christmas elves, but I think they kill a couple people, but they hurt a couple people. There's nothing, it's very silly and tongue in cheek, but all of the elves moving around are like shitty digital composite. Like, you would know a better term than me. But like, there's people like swatting at a table and there's nothing there for real. There's just these little digital elves that were puppeteered in a separate shot, separate plate, and then put together. It doesn't match up or look good or anything, but it's fun enough for what it is. And at one point at the end, all the elves are making a giant elf. So it's a man in one of the elves. It's like a riff on Elf on a Shelf. And one of the main characters cocks a shotgun and goes, "It's time for the 12 gauge of Christmas." And I was like, all right, you get a point for that. That was it, though. There were no other real points.
Here's a problem I have. And like, look, I do digital effects. I'm a VFX supervisor. But practical effects are one of those ones, like, you can go the opposite direction in quality and still come out on top. You can do really cheesy practical effects and there's still a quality of charm to it. You can't do that with digital effects. The shittier you go, like Birdemic didn't endear me to the quality of the film. Like there's only a certain level that works, and it starts to fall apart to me. Like, look, if that's all you got and the rest of your film is consistent, maybe it works. But like, if your movie's doing better than it should be, and then you have something that you like, well, we'll just do the shittiest digital effects possible, maybe they won't notice. Like, it falls apart. Like, there's a fine line that you have to tread. Like, your movie has to be as shitty as your shittiest effect.
I wonder, and we've said this before, I wonder if a younger generation of film audience would disagree with us, because you and I have that sentimentality, that nostalgia for practical effects. We grew up, whether it was Christmas, horror, whatever, we grew up with practical effects. So when we see that, we might already have a soft spot. I wonder if the people who grew up with The Phantom Menace, who grew up with Revenge of the Sith, do they feel that way about digital, or do they, or maybe they don't have the nostalgia for the physical?
We remember a time when there was no digital.
Right.
Like the shark in Jaws in the Jaws 13 and Back to the Future was like, whoa, how'd they do that? Terminator 2 was like, what the fuck? Jurassic Park was like a religious experience. I saw dinosaurs like that. We had never seen that before. So like we came up in that Advent, and kids nowadays are just like, whatever. Yeah. Do they?
Yeah. But I would say, to your point, though, I would say when you watch, and especially horror movies, right? When you watch horror movies where you see a physical effect, even if you're not in the industry, you know that on set, they set that up. They did that. I think it makes you think that they had more fun. You know what I mean? Like on set that night, they killed someone. They ripped the guy in half. You know? Yeah, little do you know. But like they ripped someone in half. Everyone got bloody. You know, that's cool. It's cool to watch. And I think that makes it more enjoyable that even a good like Jurassic Park, Terminator 2, those are digital effects that are like, holy fuck. I think the holy fucks are few and far between. There's probably tons of digital effects that are so good we don't even notice them, which means they're doing a good job, but there's not that holy fuck experience where you can get off into practical effects.
Here's something I've noticed, and this is really annoying, is Americans, maybe movie audiences in general, hate magicians. If they watch magic, they go, oh, I saw how they did it. What an asshole. That guy sucks. When I see a magician do a good job, even if I know how he did the trick, I'm like, wow, he presented it well. He did a good job. It was fun. When people see CGI in a TV show or in a movie, if they recognize it as CGI, oh, it's CGI. I know how the trick's done. It sucks.
Yeah, like, you're right.
Nobody was trying to fool you. They were just trying to show you something that otherwise you wouldn't get. This movie with the shitty elves, if they didn't do shitty composited elves, they wouldn't have elves in their movie. Or they would have had to do like something even crappier. Like it's like, I don't know. And when I see, like, I worked on The Walking Dead for a while, and people would be like, oh, it's CGI. It sucks. And it's like, actually, it's some pretty damn good CGI. You just think it sucks because you pointed out that it's CGI. It's not a magic trick. It's a tool to present something. And some people, well, it takes me out. Oh, okay, well, I'm sorry. But like there are, obviously we didn't nuke a neighborhood. Obviously we didn't go to this place and turn it into a freezing tundra. Like there's things that's like you can't escape needing these tools. And if you use them right, then they're effective. Did it tell the story? Then I think there's a lot of leeway. And like I said, there's a level of quality you have to pass, but I don't think we're often trying to trick people. Oh, this is real. Well, obviously that guy's head didn't explode. You know, like
and I think to take that even one step forward, and I've been thinking about this a lot because, and we've talked about this, the prevalence of movies now, right? Anybody can make a movie, and by movie I mean a feature length narrated. Right? You use your phone, you use your device, you can edit it on your computer, and Amazon, Tubi, Shudder, somebody will stream it. And it could be a complete, utter piece of shit. And like you said about how there's so many streaming Christmas horror movies right now, I got so excited until I started watching it. And I was like, this is just someone who got a bunch of friends together, put a guy in a Santa costume or a snowman costume or a something costume, did terrible, whether it was digital or physical effects, and has a slightly narrative story that goes throughout and gets the characters from one point to another. That doesn't make a movie worth watching. And a lot of these movies I was watching and I was like, I'm wasting my time doing this. And I don't mean to shit on anyone's fun or dreams or anything, but you can't just say, okay, a couple goes to a house, they meet their family and they're stalked by a killer Santa. That's not enough to be a movie. Like for that to be a movie, the kills better be fucking great. And they're not. The acting's not great. The writing is not great. The camera's not great. The sound is not great. And it's just so easy to make a movie. And it really made me kind of think about, and there's a difference between like Christmas, Bloody Christmas, and I watched a movie called There's No Escape. There's a big difference between those two in presentation. A lot more went into Christmas, Bloody Christmas. Now I understand that was made for Shudder. It was made by Shudder. So that had more money in it, but than Snow Escape did. But there's a, when you make a movie, it's not just putting something on quote unquote celluloid for an hour and a half that gets your characters from one point to another. That's not enough to make it an engaging movie, right? But
you can we've watched, I can't even speak right now. We have watched lots of really low budget things. I'm thinking like Deadly Spawn. That movie had no money, was like shot in the dude's house. And it's a great movie. It did a good job because it did the research and it did the homework. And you can tell a lot of these people are like, well, I have a phone and I can turn it on and point it at things.
Yeah,
and
this scene is an homage to Psycho. And you're like, so what? You killed someone in a shower with a knife. That doesn't.
But people don't know how to tell stories. Like that's what separates the films from the shit that just goes straight to video. Like, people don't know how to tell stories anymore because they're just like, well, I know that people talk and I need this character to get here, but they're literally just trying to get them to the shower so they can have the shower Psycho recreation scene. They're not figuring out why they go to the shower. They're not figuring out why these are happening. There's no story involved. It's just like, well, point A, point B, point C. Like, that's a map. You're taking me on a road trip. That's boring.
Right. Like Weredeer had a couple and the girl turns into the weredeer and the guy doesn't want to kill her, even though everyone else is saying we got to kill her because she's a weredeer. And he keeps being like, no, I want to save her. And I know that they were trying to make that his thing. And then an ex-girlfriend comes into the picture and she's trying to get with him and they end up together at the end of the movie. But like, I think, they might have gotten killed. I honestly don't even fucking remember. But like, I'm sure if you would have asked the filmmakers what his journey was, they would have said, well, he is torn because she is a weredeer and everyone wants to kill her, but he believes he could save her. But the only way that was presented was by him saying, no, I don't want to kill her. I want to save her, over and over again. Like, literally, they just argued about it and then someone would get killed. And then they'd argue about it and someone would get killed. There was no, you can't just tell me shit, George Lucas and the Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. You can't just say they're in love. I'll be like, oh, okay, I'll believe you, but I don't care. Like, I'm not there. Anyway, we could wax poetic about that all day. Let's hear some more of yours. Would you do any?
Yeah. Let's talk about Christmas Bloody Christmas, because I think what we're talking about really plays in.
I agree.
Christmas Bloody Christmas. This one came out this year, and I think the last half hour of this movie is pretty fucking phenomenal. Like, agreed. Super solid. And this is a Joe Begos. And look, Joe Begos he does a lot of really independent films, and all of them are pretty solid outings. I've never felt the need to like tell him what's wrong until now, because guess what, Joe Begos, you made it. You did a good enough film that I can tell you what's wrong with it. Your previous films are like, look, we're just trying our hardest, and I'm not going to ever hold that against you. You are a solid director. You know how to tell a story. You know what's needed to make something exciting. You're putting all the elements together, but you need to make sure that every scene in your film has a purpose.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's go into this one a little bit. So Christmas Bloody Christmas is about an animatronic Santa Claus that was a military robot that has now been decommissioned and turned into mall Santas. And one night, this one mall Santa goes haywire and starts killing a bunch of people. Pretty straightforward. That's fine. Cool. I'm
great
here
premise.
for that.
I think that's fine because going into it, it's Terminator Santa, right?
Terminator Santa. Kills are fantastic. I mean, I hold the great, fantastic kills. The first 45 minutes of this movie are the same scene in repetition. And again, you're going to tell me, no, it's character building. No. You already told me who those characters were in the first scene. We open in a record store and we have this woman who runs the record store and her employee, and they have a witty dialogue. It's witty enough. Fine. It's great. Goes on too long. Then they introduce a couple of characters with more witty dialogue. Great. That's fine. They walk down the street together talking about Christmas song. More witty dialogue. It's fine. It's super witty, but we have already established that they're witty and fun and have sexual tension. Then they go to a bar. The whole time they're drinking and smoking weed, which is like, oh, wow, you guys really drink a lot. Oh, man, you really fucking cuss a lot. Then we get to the bar, and it's another scene of just fucking let's talk about fucking this and talk about bands that cut their hair off. Fucking fuckity fuck. And you're like, wow, like the entire bar scene can be removed. And they're going to say, no, because we introduced the sheriff. Doesn't matter. There's another sheriff character that you don't introduce, and I didn't need it for him either. You don't need to introduce this character. And if you did, have him roll up in his car and be like, you kids, you doing okay? Whoa, blah, blah, and then have him roll off. There's no need to have an entire scene that takes this long where you're talking about the same shit and just building sexual tension that we don't need because we already got it. You are redoing the same scene over and over again. They go and visit friends at this goddamn toy store. That's a waste of time. And the only thing that scene's for is to introduce the animatronic Santa. Great. Spend time on the animatronic Santa. But instead they're like, oh yeah, there's that animatronic Santa. Fucking him, fuck, drink and fuck. Lick smash. Like
the reason he's saying that, for those of you who haven't seen the movie, is no joke. Every third word is fuck. IMDb has it for the profanity. It says 487 uses of profanity with an average of 5.6 per minute, and there are a lot of fucks. There's a lot of cum. Like verbally, they're saying this shit like, "Oh, I'm gonna eat that ass," blah, eating ass, and it's just nonstop. But it's fine because you believe that those characters are talk that way, but. Your point is great that they just keep showing that, and it's fine. And you're right. It's well written. Those characters are well written, but no one needs that much dialogue from any one character in a horror movie without horror happening.
Yeah.
At least intermittently.
And like I said, the conversations are clever enough. There's a whole thing about like bands that they go bad after they cut their hair. Fine. That's a clever scene. Not necessary. There's an entire thing about Christmas songs and like what's good and what's bad. Fine, not necessary. Multiple scenes about movies, which are clever. One of my favorite ones, like if you want to watch a good Bob Clark Christmas classic, watch Black Christmas and Not a Christmas Story. Fine, clever. There's a whole scene where she's trying to tell him that Pet Sematary 2 is better. I would have been out of there. But also, she's like, Alien Covenant is better. And I was like, oh, bye.
Yeah,
bye.
I thought the same thing.
Like, okay, tonight's been great. Thanks. But like, there's just all these scenes of them having this like fairly witty dialogue that after a time just becomes exhausting because you're like, yeah.
My notes for that just says, fucking, jizz cum flick your bean.
That's basically a summary.
How they talk to each other. It's fine. We actually skipped over something. The movie started. I bought it or rented it on Amazon Prime. It is in theaters right now, though. It's not the start I was expecting. It starts as a commercial, and the commercial is showing kids opening shit for Christmas, and then they open up like alcohol bottles. Yeah. I thought it was really funny, but if I'd seen it in a movie theater, I would have known. But the fact that I was watching it streaming, I was like, did Amazon just put a commercial in front of something that I bought? And I was like, oh no, this is a commercial in the world. And I thought that was a cute start. I
love movies with fake commercials, but like, look, Cheddar Goblin did it really well, and you guys just keep trying to do Cheddar Goblin. So be careful.
It's fine. And I was like, it certainly set the tone for what they were going for. I'm glad that they didn't lean too hard into the 80s. Hey, we're trying to be an 80s throwback, because it wasn't.
Yeah, sure.
It shouldn't have been. But so the whole point of this is these two people, the two main characters, they have some friends in a toy store, and they get invited there, and the idea is they're going to fuck in the toy store. And the main guy is like, no. And the main girl goes, why? Don't you want to fuck in a toy store? Which is something that you and I have talked. This is my notes, by the way. I'm not texting anybody. This is something you and I have talked about in
Shopping Mall.
Shopping Mall,
yeah.
And a bunch of other stuff where people like have a weird party that turns into sex in some weird retail store. Elves, one of the best Christmas horror movies of all time, happens where people just have a party in a department store all night. They like stay in there and their boyfriends come over. I don't know what the appeal is, but she's like, don't you want to fuck in his toy store? And he goes, no, I feel bad for the kid who buys a teddy bear covered in cum. And it's like a little graphic and over the top, but like, yeah, why? Like, I like that he was like, no, I have no desire to fuck in a toy store. Why would you want to do that?
Also, that entire party scene in the toy store between four people does not make a party. It's a good time. Four people.
Once you break the teddy bears out, though.
Yeah. But there's no close-ups. I can't tell you what any of the other people in this movie look like because there's zero close-ups of them.
That's true. Jonah, the new Mystery Science Theater guy, is one of the guys in the toy store.
Really?
Yep. Yeah. You didn't I've actually been watching that show a lot recently. So the second he was on screen, I was like, no, is that him? It was absolutely him. He plays this guy who, him and his girlfriend are at the toy store when the two main characters walk in. They walk in past Abraham Ben Ruby, who's playing the robotic Santa, and there's some ominous shots of him. Then they introduce the two new characters, in the toy store. They're like, oh, we're going to drink and fuck. And they're like, okay, we're going to keep walking. The main characters leave. Jonah from Mystery Science Theater, the new one, the Netflix one, and this girl who we don't really, you're right, I never thought of it, but we never see a close-up, so we don't know who she is. They immediately strip down to her thong, and she goes, I want you to eat my ass out on this throne. And he goes, ooh, give me that. Papa's hungry. I'm going to eat that ass. When he's doing that.
We're getting on the naughty list just by how vulgar our fucking.
When he does that, the robot Santa kind of comes unhinged and starts walking. And as he starts walking, he's like walking around. He picks up an axe, and peripherally we see him eating her ass. And I wrote, I love that he's eating her ass so hard they don't hear a giant robot clomping around, because in that scene it's mostly the robot's POV, and every step you hear. And I'm like, man, they're really into that ass play because they can't even hear an Abraham Ben Ruby sized robot. And then I get it. You like metal music and movies.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Right. Yeah. All these scenes, they think so then it turns into like, God, you think you're way cleverer than you are. Cut out half these scenes, get to the kills earlier, have Santa kill at least 3 more people in this time frame, and you're going to be fine.
At least chop it up. At least dialogue kill.
And again, I'm not opposed to any of the dialogue. It was fine. It's just when you do it scene by scene by scene by scene, right. I'm exhausted by the time.
And you're right. Like
the action
structurally, it is not progressing the movie any forward.
I know nothing new about them that I didn't know before. And they're going to tell me, oh, but you know their favorite movies and you know their favorite music. And none of it's necessary.
No, you definitely don't need that.
Because when you're building a character, what you're building is a flashcard so that the next time they're on screen, you're like, you don't need to tell me who that person is again. I know who they are.
I know he's the doper. I know he's not paying attention. I know he is afraid of this. Like that, you just boom, boom, and then there's his stats.
The scenes need to build a flashcard so the next time they're on scene, you don't need to tell us who that is again. That's literally what character building is supposed to achieve. And by telling me new pieces of it, you just need to pick and choose when it's important to reaffirm that flashcard or change that flashcard with a twist or with conflict. That's storytelling. And this is literally like, well, I need to fill 45 minutes of a movie before Santa can start killing because that's all I got. Because literally, it's like, it's I have dialogue and I have Santa murder. And when the Santa murder happens, it's a roller coaster, man. I am so
Once that starts, and that's so... Like you're saying, there's a lot of talking.
I can tell you how to watch this movie. If I were like 16 and bought it on VHS, I would have popped it in, hit fast forward, and watched it on the screen until I got to the cunnilingus scene where I was like, whoa, what's happening here?
Yeah.
You can watch from then on out because there's this like raucous oral scene to metal music. Hey, the music in this movie is rad. Raucous oral scene, and Santa starts murdering people, and from that on you can watch that movie.
The main characters get back to her place, and he's before said something about his skill at cunnilingus. And they get there and they finally, after all the sexual tension, she strips down to her underwear and reveals a thong. Now she's the second girl in the movie to start having sex in a thong, and I wrote thong butt. It's the new boob shot, because in a normal horror movie, you would see boobs in both of those places. You never see any nudity in this movie, but you do see 2 thong butts. So they start getting into it. And finally,
it's like side butt permanently.
Well, before we get there, the Santa robot, walks up behind Jonah, who's eating this girl's ass, and there's a good peel. But I say that, I remind you of that on their flashcard.
It's not graphic.
No, he's behind her because it's a POV shot of the Santa Claus coming up behind him with an axe, and he swings the axe down, and there's a quick cut in there, and suddenly his body is in half. They do a lot of that kind of quick cuts to make you think you're seeing the action, and it worked great. Then he smashes her head into something and throws her on the ground and steps on her, and she's dead. Then the main couple go back and they start to have cunnilingus and almost sex. And the Santa Claus, for some reason, follows them to goes to the neighbor's house. It hits the neighbor guy in the back with an axe, right?
I think that's the director. I want to say that's the director. Is the guy?
I think the director is the guy whose car got crashed in a couple minutes.
Okay.
According to my research.
Okay.
But he chops this guy in the back. The guy falls down. He then throws the guy's body, and we'll get to my body things in a second. But he throws the guy's body. Then he goes after the mom, and the mom runs into the bathroom, closes the bathroom, opens the drawer, and what does she pull out, Rumi? Do you remember?
Oh, is it a hairdryer or
a giant pair of shears?
Yeah.
Like, but I mean, like almost cartoony, like almost like the mayor gave her them. I was like,
mall.
I wrote, why does she have giant shears in the bathroom?
I have scissors in the bathroom. I mean, not cartoonish. Like I'm not.
Those were but these were like sheer, like
that trim the bushes. Yeah, these are for.
That's what they look like. But like, okay, fine. So he chops through the door with the axe, and
those are fabric shears for sure. Those are for
that is what they look like. You're right.
Those are
You're
fabric shears. Yeah.
They're giant. It doesn't do her any good. He hits her in the face with an axe, and you see a great dummy head get squished by the axe and ripped up in blood.
The kills in this are great. I will not take anything away from these kills.
Where does the robot go after he kills that woman?
He goes out on the balcony and sees a little kid down below.
There's an indoor balcony. The little kid's like, Santa? Santa Claus comes down and stands in front of the kid, and the kid goes, "Why are you so bloody?" And I thought to myself, so bloody? Like, was there an amount of blood that you wouldn't have asked? Like, you're like, oh, I would have said, "Why are you bloody?" Not why. Like, I honestly, like, that almost made me pause the movie to contemplate, because I was like, why are you so bloody?
Why are you?
How about why do you
bloody?
have any blood on you?
Or is that blood? Like, there's many other questions I would ask before the amount of blood was the thing that came into question. Hey, is that blood on you? Why do you have blood on you?
Yeah.
It's not
quantity based.
Yeah, he knew it was blood. Why wouldn't he be like, Santa, is that cherry milkshake all over you? Like there's any number of other items I would be before I was like, or is that blood? And he's like, Santa, did you get me anything? Cool, you did. And the kid's like opening presents, and Santa comes up behind him. And from the other house where we cut back to our lovers, they see this fucking kid get axed.
Yeah, great. So it's like you don't see him, but in my notes I wrote, "Yay, kid kill."
Yeah, I got that too. Yeah,
you know how much we love when children get murdered. Fake children get fake murdered here on the Launchpad podcast.
Oh yeah. I mean, your movie has the balls to kill a kid, you're doing something.
You automatically go up a small grade. So he gets killed. We see it through the window. We don't really see what happens to him, but we see an axe swing, and then we see blood hit the window. And
she's like, "Oh my god, fuck, blah! Find my phone." And he's like, "Okay, it's upstairs." He runs upstairs and just trashes her room.
I didn't even notice that.
He just trashes her room. It is like a fucking The Room meets Citizen Kane. Room trash freak out. He's just trashing her room. I'm like, when I'm super pissed, that's how I find things, but that's not normally how I find things. She's like, I gotta go wake up my sister and her stupid husband. So she's trying to wake them up, but like, he trashes her room. I wouldn't be like, "Hey, are you finding my phone or wrecking everything?"
I appreciate your gusto, but I still have to live here.
Yeah, like, if we survive tonight, I don't want to have to clean up my room too. I already have to do a load of sheets.
So now it's the main characters. And talk about all the character fucking development and introduction we've done. They run in and wake up her sister and brother-in-law, who we don't even fucking know. Yeah. But they get dragged into the room, and the Santa robot is essentially like walking around the house stalking them. And the brother-in-law is like a big chubby guy who keeps walking in and being like, "What? Why are we all being quiet?" And they're like, "Quiet." He's like, "Fine, I'll be quiet. Whatever, fine." The main character guy at one point is hiding under the window, and we see Santa Claus walk behind him. And the main character guy covers his mouth so as not to make a sound. And I thought to myself, is that really a thing? Like, we see it in horror movies a lot when people will cover their mouths because they're so scared. Have you ever had to physically refrain yourself from making a sound?
Yes.
You're shaking your head, yes.
Yes. During a really heated hide and seek when I was a kid, you'd have to do that if you were running to get to your spot and you were like slightly out of breath. You're like, and so you cover your mouth so you don't hear the panting. You cover your mouth to slow your breathing.
Are you breathing behind? Like, are your lips not enough to cover your mouth?
But if you're
Do you
breathing,
lack the lip jewel fortitude?
if you're breathing really hard, I mean, like 5-year-old me, yeah, I was a total little mouth breather, just panting like a dog because I ran from the downstairs upstairs into a closet to hide to like change hiding spots, trying not to get caught.
I don't.
Hide and seek was a serious game, man. We were preparing for evil Santas.
So do you think if me and you were in our room, in our house, and evil Santa was coming, and I was like, Rumi, be quiet, and you ran upstairs and trashed my room real hard looking for my phone, and then came back downstairs, you'd have to hold your mouth closed.
I don't know if I would do it now, but I'm saying I understand the need to do so. It also redirects the sound, so it's not just going outwards, it's going like downwards.
Oh, so you're cupping your hand over your mouth. You're not. I just assumed it was flat smushed against. Yeah.
I mean, it is quieter. It is a good muffle.
All right. Here's what I want you to do: sprint to your front door and sprint back, and then cover your mouth. Well, this guy does it, and I don't think I've ever seen a man do it in a movie. I'm not going to get into gender roles or stereotypes or anything, but I don't think I've ever seen a man do it in a movie. I'll just say that there.
His mustache says it all, dude. You don't have to say anything. No, I'm just kidding. I like
the Santa Claus breaks in. The Santa Claus breaks in. He snaps the sister's neck, right?
Yep.
How does he kill the brother-in-law? Just an axe?
Yeah, doesn't he just throw an axe at him? I don't remember. I
kind of remember the brother getting killed. The girl gets killed with
him getting killed at all.
She gets her neck twisted. Main characters run outside.
Yeah,
jump into the car.
Jump into the car. They're driving around.
Start backing away, and they crash into a neighbor's car.
Yeah,
and they crash into a car. Now, right away, I'm like, okay, you crashed into a car. You had a budget. You had some production there because it's not a cheat. You watch two cars hit each other, and the neighbor comes out. He's like, "You crashed into my fucking car!" And they're in the car screaming, "There's a killer Santa! Watch!" Killer Santa comes up and fucking axes that guy, right?
It's a good kill, yeah.
It's a good kill. And then smashes his body through their window.
That's pretty good, too.
They hit the gas, back up further, and then crash that car into a tree. So then I wrote, they fucked up a lot of cars.
Oh, they're just getting started. They're going to
yeah. There's more notes about that.
So then he drags the boyfriend out the hole in the front window. Well, not the boy, I guess the employee.
The main character guy.
Drag him out, and he axes him in the head. And I didn't see it coming. I actually was like,
no, you thought he'd survive because he's the main.
We had a couple close calls, but then I was like immediately disappointed because earlier in the film, there was a line by the Mystery Science Theater guy, our ass-eating Mystery Science Theater guy. He says, they're fucking tonight. And she's like, no way. I'm pretty sure that's illegal because they're employees. Kind of is. That she's like, no way. And he goes, I guarantee you, unless he gets his dick chopped off, they're fucking tonight.
Yeah, I thought that was a nut too.
You just missed an entire opportunity to chop a dude's dick off, or at least take an axe to the crotch, and you went for his head. That's fine, but
it was a good head chop too. Really, they're doing a lot of they'll show the shot of the Santa swinging the axe, and then they'll cut to where the impact happens. So they cut to the axe already in this dummy's head, but it still moves, and it's a very effective sequence. It's a very good way to show that action.
It's super effective. And look, I always, I work on a lot of stuff where they're like, we want to see it in one shot. And it's like, honestly, it's not as effective. You want to know why it works on the cut? Because it's been working for years. When you show it in one shot, it always says something's fake. When you show it just hit somebody, very rarely, unless you have a really good puppet, unless you have some really good pieces to it, it doesn't land as well as this match on action cut. It's so effective.
They did it good, and it's something that I would do in low budget movies when I couldn't do a really nice prosthetic or, like you said, a gorgeous dummy head or whatever. You fake the action, you fake the impact, and you hide that, you cheat it. But if you do it right, it doesn't feel or look like a cheat. And they did it right. They made it look really, really good.
The reason it doesn't work in the wide, in a one shot, is because the impact never feels right. Because human beings don't really know what it looks like to get hit with an axe. A human being hit with an axe. So it always feels kind of weird. Even if you time it right, even if you have them get whacked with a rubber thing, the impact of being hit with like 6 pounds of steel is never going to look quite as real unless you actually hit something. Just saying.
It's the same with eating ass. And if you get hit with an axe while eating ass, there's only one human who's ever known what that is.
And he can be seen.
R.I.P. Jonah.
Seen on Mystery Science Theater 3000 on Netflix.
So then a cop, she calls the cop, or the neighbor who they crashed in their car calls the cops. A cop shows up and he's yelling at her, get out of the car, you're okay, come here. And he shoots the robot a couple times and the robot falls over. And I kind of realized they don't know that that's a robot, theoretically. We know it's a robot.
And she could. Yeah.
But I think she said dressed as a Santa costume.
Yeah. Well, she's like, you got to go back to the toy store. If that robot's missing, this is the robot that it's like, wow, you really pieced it all together, didn't you, Sherlock?
The cop shoots the robot a couple times. The robot, he shoots it with a gun, with a pistol, and with a shotgun, right?
Shotgun, yeah.
And then I don't know exactly how the shotgun kind of backfires or pops up or something. And how's the robot kill a cop? Do you know?
He forces it. Doesn't he force it under his chin and blow his brains out? Yeah.
That's later. That's at the ambulance.
Okay. He shoots him. Yeah, he shoots him. It's great.
She jumps in his cop car and gets away, but she's literally head to toe covered in blood.
In a stolen cop car. Yeah, they stop her. They're dicks. I'm going to jump ahead a little bit because just for time, where they just they're dicks. They're jerks about it. And they're like, we don't believe you. You're in deep shit. And they take her to the police station where suddenly they're like, okay, we believe you now. And
the sheriff believes her. The main cop, the cops didn't believe her, but the sheriff.
Sure. Anyway, then it turns to like Assault on Precinct 13 with a fucking robot Santa Claus, and he will not die. He crashes an ambulance into cop cars. There's big explosions. This is where this movie turns into like a pretty AAA feature. It's the final scene from the original Terminator, but with a robot Santa. And I think it's pretty fucking great. It might go on a little too long, but it's solid. It's really well done.
The only problem is anytime there's grappling or action, it's way too much shaky cam. So when you see car stunts like this, ambulance comes down the street and smashes through a couple cars and explodes. Awesome. But once Santa Claus robot is fighting with a guy or two, there's like a grappling thing and they're wrestling for the gun. It's just way too much shaky cam to know exactly what's going on. But like balloon bop, it's okay. I'm fine. It's a small complaint.
At one point, he gets caught in an explosion and his face gets kind of tore up and the eyes start turning into laser pointers and they're just like, zzz, zzz, and I was like, this is fucking cool. That's when
cool I got, shot. Because at the police station is fun and she hides under a desk after all the cops are dead. She hides under a desk and he's coming in and flipping. There's 1,000 desks in this police precinct and he's flipping over the desk. He's fucking up every desk and he gets to hers last and then she grapples. She gets away and then she pins him under a car. She rolls a car onto his arm and blows up the car. And you're like, oh, wow, that's pretty good. But there's still movie left. He rips his arm off. And then has like his endoskeleton sticking out with green laser pointer eyes and some beep boop beep wires and shit. He chases her into the record store and they have a fight there. Awesome. And fucked up a lot of cars. It was cool. The endoskeleton looks cool. Like it could be worse. You could see what they did. You know what it is. But it's like you said, I appreciate that it's physical and practical. It was there.
Class of 1999.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought the same thing. And it clearly is like a lot of
compliment. Yeah,
I agree. And it's clearly a lot of homage to Terminator. It's a very end of Terminator scene. She picks up like a Skeletor sword. It looks like the sword from Skeletor.
Master of the Universe, yeah.
Stabs him through, and I was like, wow, that's cool deaths, but why wouldn't it have been a Chekhov's sword? You could have mentioned that sword in the first scene. It would have been such a cool thing to have it brought back. And it would have fit in with all the bullshit that they were talking, the movies and the nostalgia.
You could have had that be a piece of something. So many things in here that you needed to check off. Like, don't smoke in here. The fire extinguishers are really, really touchy. Like, just stuff like that. Like, at one point, it's raining inside. The robot's on fire. She has her fingers chopped off. Like, it is a brutal fight, and it just keeps going and going and going. And I appreciate
the sword looks like it kills him. The sword doesn't kill him. She finds a lighter on the counter. So like You could have placed that there in an earlier scene and made it a thing, but they didn't. But she sets off the sprinklers are getting him, and he gets all but that still doesn't kill him, right?
Yeah. She pulls electrical wires off the wall and electrocutes him that way. How does it end?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, how did she actually kill him? You'll have to watch the show to find out, kids. She does eventually kill him.
Yeah, he eventually stops, and then she heads outside and like lies on the ground and starts screaming until she starts laughing, which is, Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I hate that ending, though. I mean, I guess I know it's an homage to stuff, but I was like, but it was overall that last half hour, 45 minutes is what you paid for. I would say overall, it delivered on what it was. I won't say I was surprised by any of it. It was a little slow and monotonous at the beginning, but it was a fun ride, and I watched it by myself. I think if we were watching it together, or if you watched it with people, especially if you haven't seen it yet and you were looking for a fun movie to go see in the theaters, I bet you it's fun to see in theaters.
This one's fun as shit, and I think it's worth it. Again, I bet there's a couple listeners being like, this sounds like a really vulgar movie. And it's like, in language, yes, it's not that graphic at all. So it's but like the violence is graphic, the kills are graphic, and they deliver. And I think at the end of the day, this is pretty solid. Here's what I will say: your characters are miserable, so they're not as fun to watch as you think they are. Sure,
I think that's and I think a lot of movies miss that and don't think of that.
If you were having more fun up front and maybe had a few more kills, this would be like one that I'd be like, man, I'd be down to watch this every Christmas. But instead, it's like, I've seen it, and if somebody's like, I need a good Killer Santa Claus movie that isn't Silent Night, Deadly Night, I'd be like, yeah, this is a good one. This is a really fun one to check out. And again, as far as like independent cinema inspiration goes, if you're a fledgling filmmaker, I was about to make a dirty joke there. If you are a green filmmaker and you want to watch a movie to learn how you make movies, this is a really good one to watch, because it definitely shows you, like, here's what you need. These are the elements that make a good independent film. And I think it's solid, and a good soundtrack too. Earthless, hell yeah.
And this is, they talk too long, but otherwise they hired good actors. Most of those people I don't know, but they did a good job. They filmed it well. You're right. There was some spots where there should have been close-ups to introduce people, but I knew the geography of everything. It made sense where we were traveling from and to. If you think about it, that there was no overarching thing. Like Final Girl, she didn't accomplish, aside from killing the robot, she didn't accomplish something. Her character didn't have an arc. Yeah. She didn't fix something or grow. But you don't need that for this type of movie if you deliver with robot carnage. Yeah. And it did, right? And you could even take some of the budget away. Don't do the car crashes. Don't do the explosions. You could minimize this movie and this budget and still have it work.
100%. And again, I don't mind needless witty dialogue. I mean, I fucking love me some Quentin Tarantino for that same reason.
Sure.
But if you're going to have needless witty dialogue, make sure that the scene gets you somewhere.
Sure. I think that's the important structural thing, filmmaking thing that this movie missed. But otherwise, it was good. And like my thing is always, would I buy it? I'll buy this on DVD if it has any interesting extras, outtakes, behind the scenes, commentary. If it's just a straight port to DVD with nothing on it, I won't buy it. But I would buy this. I don't think this is a watch every year. This is not Black Christmas. This is not Santa's Sleigh. But this is a good time, and it's worth having in the collection.
Santa's Sleigh is having fun. I mean, there's a lot of needless bullshit in that movie, but it has so much fun doing it. So yeah, let's talk about the other needless piece of shit you made me watch.
Oh fuck, I forgot about that one.
Yeah, let's talk about we don't have to scene by scene this, but let's talk about
just talk about
let's
the
talk
gist
about
of it.
Killing Tree. Now,
okay.
Rumi, can I set up a scene? This is probably 10 minutes into the movie, but can I set up a scene from this movie?
Yes, but only say fucking 100 times, like in Christmas, Bloody Christmas. Christmas, fucking Christmas.
You imagine this, Rumi. Christmas, fucking bloody fucking Christmas. Rumi, you are dressed in a sexy Santa costume, right? And you're sad, right. Rumi. Be sad. Be sad. All right. I am dressed in an ill-fitting gold dress with shoes that should not be paired with this dress.
I'll tell you right now, two things. I would watch that movie, and I'm concerned that And I'm concerned that you know what shoes would and would not go with that dress.
No, because I watched Killing True with my wife, and she could like. All right, let me bring this up. Isn't it
funny how you watch movies with your wife sometimes, and you're watching two different movies? The stuff that you notice.
All right,
like when they both noticed Mark Hamill's hair in Empire Strikes Back.
So Kate was like, "What is up with those fucking boots?" And I was like, "What's wrong with the boots?" She's like, "They don't match the dress. Who would wear those boots?" And I'm like, "Oh, because those are the boots she wore to set. Nobody picked those boots out for her. Somebody picked that dress out for her. It was like, this is what you're wearing in this movie." And she's like, "Okay." Nobody picked those boots out for her. That's what she wore. So these are like boots that go with jeans, apparently, and not with it. Like, she's like, what shoes should she wear? And she's like, heels or straps or sandal. Like, this is like, that's like a cocktail dress. And you don't wear like suede boots with those, especially like low. Like it was just the boots were the focus. Yeah. One star. Anyway, I'm wearing a ill-fitted gold dress.
I'm sad.
Be sad. You're sad. And you're sad because your parents are dead. And I say, hey, what's wrong? What's wrong, Rumi? You're sad.
My parents are dead.
Oh, that's cool. Hold on. Let me text this guy who I'm being paid to fuck. Boop, 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 boop. Hey, I know you're sad about your parents being dead, but hey, if you ever want to get paid to fuck, just come talk to me, okay? Is this an appropriate time to bring up
not in America, but this movie is not American.
And then after I tell her how awesome it is to get paid to fuck, I go, hey, you look sad. What's wrong? You just told me 10 minutes ago before you brought up getting paid to fuck. Like, what? Like, this movie did this time and time again where people would be like, the sky is blue, blah, blah, blah. The sea is green. And then somebody would go, hey, what color is the sky? And it's like, we've already established this. You're literally going in a circle.
Dude, that's seriously my marriage. We had a fight about that exact shit last night. She was like, what's the matter? Why are you sad? I was like, my parents are dead. We just fucking talked about that. Stop texting that guy.
This is the weirdest movie. I don't know what the opposite of acting school is. What is it when, like, instead of learning how to emote emotion, you learn how to just suck it out of a scene?
Robot school.
Yeah.
Ben Ruby went to that one.
There are so many robots in this movie. There are literally scenes with women who are there like, hi, we're a lesbian couple, but we have like, what is the opposite of chemistry? Gym class. Like we have a gym class relationship where it's like they're obviously not attracted to each other, probably not lesbians, but like, at least pretend to like each other. Like, nothing about it seems good. Then the lesbian couple like one of them disappears for 25 minutes and she comes back just to die. And they go, where were you? And she's like, I was on the toilet. And you're like, why is this
movie,
person in this movie?
This movie was shot really well, but it looked way better than it had any right to.
Incredulous face?
No, I think the whole thing, well, you watch Were Deer and Snow Escape, and you tell me this movie was fucking Citizen Kane comparatively.
Yes,
visually.
Yes.
It's shot nicer.
This at least had more lights than Christmas Bloody Christmas did, which I feel was like, Christmas Bloody Christmas was shot on film, by the way. And like, I think it was shot lit with Christmas lights. It didn't seem like they used any real like production lights in the fucking movie.
The Killing Tree was one of those movies where it's like, oh, okay, it's this woman and she's getting chased by a killer tree and her friends get killed by trees. And you're like, okay, but what else happens? And they're like, nothing. They run around the house a little bit and there's some scenes of them talking before and after. And you're like, that's not enough. This movie jumps back and forth in time for a bit, but it's about these Christmas killers, this like weird, almost Dio looking motherfucker who's with this older lady that they're together and they're killing people to bring about the real meaning of Christmas. He gets electrocuted in the electric chair because he gets caught.
None of this is seen. None of this is
this is all just told through flashbacks and title sequence.
Horrible exposition. Yeah.
She brings him back in a seance, and in the seance, there's a Christmas tree in the middle of a thing. And they play it straight, which I give them credit for because I think it works. His soul comes back into the Christmas tree, and she seems confused and was like, I didn't realize I was bringing you back into this. I thought this was just like the first part. He's a fucking Christmas tree. And he literally is like walking around as a Christmas tree. And they're playing it straight. And it is not actually scary. It is not the Ginger Dead Man, where you're like, the whole thing is so fucking absurd. It works enough that you're like, okay, you're a killer Christmas tree. Go ahead. And he's like walking around killing people as a Christmas tree. I'm on board at this point. At this point, I'm on board.
There are a lot of things I'm on board for in this movie that I'm like, okay, you get a little credit for this. But at the end of the day, like, again, not fun enough for me to keep wanting to ever watch it again or recommend to watch it. Unless we had enough people who are like, yeah, I want to see what you're talking about. Because it is, yeah, there are lots of scenes where a Christmas tree is like literally ripping people in half, which I like. One of the funniest things
Put
about
that in the pro column.
yeah, what ripping people in half, pro. The movie seems to be completely run off of lav mics. Like all the sound is from a mic that's clipped to the body.
Terrible.
So most of the movie, all you hear is just their clothes rubbing together, which is like, oh my God. There's also a joke that takes a long setup that I was like, what is happening here? And then it finally happened. And Kate's like, oh, did you get that joke? I was like, I did. And she's like, good thing one of us is cultured in this house.
What was it?
So
can you tell a joke without setting it up for 45 minutes?
Probably not, because so one of the friends who's not in the movie for 25 minutes, who doesn't happen to be on the toilet, comes down dressed as a Christmas popper, which is a bizarre costume. Like she has this like head to toe wrapped paper look on her.
Yeah.
She looks like what a Christmas popper is, which is
I thought she was a present.
It's a package that when you pull it, there's
I know what a popper is, but I didn't realize that's what she was going for.
She's a Christmas popper, and they set that up where she's like, I think it's a fun Christmas costume. She looks absolutely stupid every time she talks. I can't take her seriously. At one point she's trying to play tennis. I'm like, this is bullshit. And then she gets picked up by the tree and pulled in half like a popper. And
yeah,
I was
that
like,
was pretty cool.
Wow, you really had to set that up a long time for that to happen.
I'll buy it for that.
At least it paid off. I was I just thought this movie was that dumb. And then I was like, oh, that's actually.
There's also a scene where the tree turns like almost King Kong size for some real unexplained reason. And I thought it was getting bigger as it killed and ate people or whatever, but it then is like regular size later. But it's like punching through cars and shit like that. Whatever. If they sell me that DVD for $10 or $15, I'm going to buy it just because it's a killer Christmas tree.
It's a killer Christmas tree.
It's not very good.
And
it needs more good stuff and less bullshit stuff.
I will give it uniqueness though. Like,
yeah, I agree.
Hats off for being unique. At least I don't see that many killer Christmas tree movies. And like,
and the tree could have looked worse.
Like, yeah. And the CGI sucks. But again, I've seen worse. Seen worse.
It was, I won't say believable, but it was in an acceptable range for that movie.
Here's one of my favorite notes. At one point, they convinced the sad girl to come downstairs to her party. And she goes, oh, well, before that, she goes, after this, you can sell the house and you can go to uni. Go to uni? How old are these women?
Yeah, I know.
Hold on. Wait, what? They go downstairs and this old couple's like, hey, we got to leave. And she's like, word for word, thank you for coming. Of course we came. You're like a daughter to us. We're glad we came. And her sex worker friend's like, all this talk about coming. Stop.
I also was like, how long was those bitches upstairs complaining / sexting that the party has already started and these people who are like her parents are leaving?
Oh, I know. Right. And they weren't the ones to come upstairs and be like, hey, you doing okay on this horrible Christmas Eve? There's
the only other thing I want to say about this is the ADR for the Christmas tree. It's almost like they're like, all right, when you strangle this girl, like he essentially hangs a girl with tinsel and stuff. And he does it and he's like, how do you like that now? And then the camera pulls back and he's like, you like that? How do you like that now? That's what you get. How do you like that now? It's just like, it's the same couple of phrases, almost like they just use alternate takes to fill time. And it literally is like the same thing. And he literally is like, let me open this map. And you're like, who verbalizes, let me open this map? I'm walking through the snow. I'm doing this. That's I'm happy with it. It was stupid. I think it would be more fun with more people.
It's always sad when a movie's on IMDb and doesn't have any trivia under it. That's sad.
Yeah.
We had subtitles on because I can't hear shit anymore. And there are several moments where the movie just says inaudible. So the movie didn't even know what the fuck they were saying, which I love. There's a scene where this like girl and this guy are like making out by a pool in their underwear, and there's like a close up of like Christmas lights like wrapping around their legs because the Christmas tree's about to kill them, and they have goosebumps, and it's like they are so fucking.
I saw
cold.
that, they were like
so
they were goosebumped.
Cold. Yeah, they are so cold. Oh man, I feel bad for them. There's a really weird scene. Hey, let's play blindfolded tennis. Just so we can like set
That's
up
a
this
British
Christmas tree. Oh, that is? Oh, okay, good.
No, I have no idea. I'm assuming. Hey, if you're one of our listeners in the UK, do you play blindfold tennis on Christmas? Is that a thing?
As I mentioned, the friend in the gold dress is she keeps saying that she's a sex worker. Has nothing to do with the movie. Doesn't inform her character in any way at any point in the movie. She doesn't use it as a talent. She doesn't need to use it as a plot device. It doesn't need to be in the movie other than like, hey, we're pro sex worker, which is like, that's fine. But like, if that's the plot of your movie, like make it a plot point. That's not a plot point. That's like, again, when I tell you that a flashcard tells you everything about them, it usually has to come into play later. Like, hey,
like her favorite color is purple. Oh, cool.
Yeah. Okay. Like, again, that doesn't do anything for the character. And it doesn't cause conflict. Like the guy that she's trying to hook up with doesn't show up later. Like it doesn't drive anything. So why? At the end, other Christmas trees show, like one Christmas tree shows up and it's like white and glowing. It's like, I'm your mother and father.
Oh, that's right.
But we couldn't afford your father's voice, so I'm just your mother. Woo. And it was a Christmas tree fight. And Kate goes, Christmas tree fight. Okay, I'll give it to him. I was like, all right. Christmas tree fight. What a weird ending. And then the end's like, it was just a dream. None of that happened. And your friends are alive. And I was like, oh, good.
But in a weird way where you're like, I rewound it to be like, wait, did I doze? Did I fall asleep on this?
Yeah.
I rewound it a bit to make sure. But yeah, no, I like this movie. It's not good. I'm not saying it's good. I'm saying I liked it.
I'm saying it's, if you can get enough people together and you're like, guys, there's a movie. It's not good, but it has a killer Christmas tree in it. And enough people are like, Black, I'm drunk. Let's watch that shit. And you're like, pop it in. I think you'll have a good time.
All right.
For sure.
I got another quick one.
Hit me with a quick one.
Did you watch Nutcracker Massacre?
I watched the trailer and said, nah, thanks. I'm good.
It is what it is. It's a straight to, Shudder and Tubi and whatever. It's a guy in a nutcracker costume, like a man-sized nutcracker, who everyone just accepts as like normal. And there's a curse behind it, blah, blah, blah. And it keeps coming to life and killing people. There's a bunch of bad characters. It's not really great. The whole movie is exactly what you think it's going to be, and it's fine. Every once in a while, they change out the mask of the nutcracker guy to be this creepy demon one. It's fine. Kills are fine. Nothing crazy. Until some guy gets a late night snack. And this is in England as well. And he's using a regular nutcracker, but he's not using a Christmas one. He's just using metal nutcrackers. And he's using those to crack little nuts in the middle of the night. And the nutcracker comes up behind him. There's a struggle. The nutcracker gets the nutcracker and pulls his balls off with the nutcracker. I will be buying that on DVD for that scene alone. The movie is not good and it's not great. I mean, it's fine. It's run of the mill. No, nothing to say good or bad, except that one scene makes it a must have in the collection for me. He cracks the guy's nuts with a nutcracker. I wish it was a Christmas nutcracker. Then I would buy the 2-disc edition, but I'll buy that.
The other one I watched just to watch the taste of Killing Tree out of my mouth was Black Christmas, which I fucking love. I every time I watch that movie, the original 1974 Black Christmas, I'm like, this is a bona fide classic.
It's so fucking good.
Yeah. If you guys haven't seen it, I figure most of our audience has. If you haven't seen it,
and we have talked about it before, right?
We have. We don't need to go hard into it. I think it's worth just mentioning that.
I agree, and we've talked about it before, so you guys should listen to our other Christmas movie episodes. When you said it is a great horror movie, and it is a great Christmas horror movie. And it is one of those I pretty much watch it every year. Sometimes not even during Christmas. You and I talked a couple days ago, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I gotta watch Black Christmas as a palate cleanser." And I was like, "Shit, I need a palate cleanser too." And I was like, "I should watch a different one." So I was like, "You know what? I'll watch. I'll watch one that is not tongue in cheek and not silly, but I don't really remember." I watched 1984's "Don't Open Till Christmas." Do you remember that?
I know it. I don't know if I've seen this one.
You definitely have seen it because we must have watched it when we were together.
Yeah, but I don't think
the VHS package is a Christmas.
I know the cover. Yeah, it's like a bloody present. Yeah.
So this is the one where the killer is killing people dressed like Santa Claus. He's not a Santa Claus. He's not dressed like Santa Claus.
It's still because the mom banged.
Yep. Still because someone had sex with Santa Claus. I didn't remember this movie as well as I should have. It is fucking great. It is slow at times. It is a whodunit in like you think one of the main characters is going to be the killer.
It's an Alice Sweet Alice type thing. Yeah,
exactly. Alice Sweet Alice mask. I started watching it and immediately, like a couple minutes. First of all, two people get stabbed in the first minute of the movie, and they get immediate killed with the stab. The knife goes in, they go and they're dead. Two people immediately. But the next people to get killed, a guy is at a party and he's about to blow a party blower, and a spear comes through his head and out his mouth. And I was like, wait, why don't I remember this? A guy gets burned to death on a barbecue, shot in the mouth, a cut and blood spraying. There's a lot of blood spraying. Punched in the neck, stabbed with a spike glove, broken bottle in someone's face so that their eye falls out. A guy gets hit in the face with a machete, straight razors, are electrocuted. Then at the very end, there's like a fuck you from the grave from the killer. He kills his brother with a bomb. That's literally how the movie ends before it goes to credit. This guy looks at this package and he puts it down and he sits in a chair. And then if you're looking at me on YouTube, he's like this and they put a makeup on his away side of his face. And then the whole fucking thing blows up. And as he turns towards camera, you see his face is all mangled and then credits roll. It's fucking awesome. It's a little slow. It's a little dated, but it is definitely a different flavor Christmas horror than most of these other ones that we're familiar with.
Where can I watch this?
It's on Tubi right now because I watched it the other night. I obviously also have the DVD and Blu-ray, but but like this is one I remember. It was rare on VHS, and I hunted it down. You definitely saw this with me for sure. There's a ton of boobs in it. There's a girl who barely is clothed the whole time. She's also running around outside almost naked in like you think she's a porcupine based on how fucking prickly her skin is. She's like freezing, this poor girl. I would say this is a definite must watch. If you haven't, check it out.
Oh, good recommendation. I'm going to have to put this on my list.
It'll jog your memory and you'll be like, why didn't I remember this more?
I don't know, man. Maybe
you had to have seen it. You had to.
Man. I'm just looking at these like crazy kills that they're showing on the trailer. This is in the trailer. It's got plenty going on. Very cool, man. Well, what are you doing for the holidays? You traveling?
Nope, staying here. My Amanda's family's coming for a bit. My family's coming for a bit. My cousin's going to come shortly after the holidays. So staying here, doing a lot. What about you?
I'm traveling. I'm excited to see family. I'm not excited to travel with a 2-year-old, but it's going to be great. We're going to make it happen. It's going to work.
Just put her in the overhead storage bin, feet out.
Feet out. But we're going back up to see family, Kate's family, my family. It's going to be a good time, but it's going to be, it's a lot. Traveling is a lot.
Yeah. And it's hard with the kid.
Yeah. But other than that, I'm hoping to check out a few more Christmas horror movies, a few more Christmas classics. I still haven't done my Die Hard watch this year. I still haven't done my Christmas Story watch. I still haven't watched Krampus yet, which is one of my go-tos every year.
Oh, maybe I'll try that one this year. I haven't done that in a while.
That's one of my all-time favorites right now. I love Krampus so much. It has fun. I know you didn't like it as much because the family sucked, but I kind of like it in the vein.
I felt gypped at the end too. They're like, just kidding. And you're like, fuck you. It was so much cooler when everyone was dead.
I bet you say that during Muppets Christmas Carol when he wakes up at the end. He's like, I didn't die, just like in Charles Dickens.
That's a true story.
Okay. Well, it's modeling itself off of a classic Christmas Story, Rumi, where the guy wakes up from death and it was all a dream. Does it make sense?
When kids die, I want them to stay dead. Tiny Tim included.
Does it make sense now? Do you understand the movie? Allegory, Rumi.
Popper.
At least one of us is cultured.
Yeah, if you need any more of your jokes explained to you, let us know. Jokes, literary references, or British party favors.
British party favors. British Christmas traditions. Man, super good, man. Well, this has been a great year. I've had a lot of fun with you. Some really, really good episodes, some really good times, and Merry Christmas, Rumi.
You too, man. We got more to come. Like we already on the docket. We already have some good stuff. So keep it tuned in here. Where can they tune in, Rooms?
Follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at LaunchpadPod, on our website, launchpadpod.com. Check us out on YouTube. Let us know what you're doing for Christmas, for your holidays, whatever they may be. Safe travels. Download some of our episodes to take with you. We have a bunch of good Christmas ones. We've been doing this for almost 5 years now. So there's a decent amount of Christmas episodes to check out. I'll make sure they're up top, ready to find, easy to get to. In the meantime, Rumi, let's blast this thing off. I can't talk today. What is wrong?
You're talking British.
That was a Christmas Carol. Don't worry about it. We're the Rocketeers, and we are out.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5,